God damn it. I totally lost track of time.
I move it early for you because you need it early.
I know. And then my alarm went off a half an hour before, and I was like, okay, I'm good. And then,
Next thing you know,
yeah, so I'm so sorry.
oh, please don't worry. Who are you going to go see tonight?
Milky Chance is the headliner. I
Yeah,
can't think of what the other band is, and I
it,
really like them, but Milky Chance is who I want to see.
never heard of Milky Chance. What the fuck is a Milky Chance? I get a
They're
visual on it, but
it's actually just two guys. Oh, Young the Giant is the other band.
yeah, nope. What kind of music?
God, how do you describe them? They're like that's why I like them is they don't really fit into like a box, so to speak. They're like kind of alternative yet earthy.
Okay.
That's the best way I could describe them. But then they have some songs that have like some soul to it. I don't know. They're just kind of all over. That's why, again, that's why I like them. I don't think every song sounds the same. They're just a little more unique.
Yep. I'll have to look them up when we're done. Milky Chance.
Yes,
What
I
a
do.
name.
I'll send it to you right now. Um,
That's okay. I'm about to go see Striper and Cry It Riot.
oh my God, tonight?
No, it's in a couple of weeks.
They're from the 80s, right?
Yes. Yes, they are. Striper is Christian rock. Quiet Riot is not. I mean, like they do not they didn't hang out in the same circles, let me tell you. But the music's similar, so
I just can't believe how expensive tickets are for shows now.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like insane.
and you know, and part of that is I'm sure it's multifold, actually. We haven't even been in the scratch the surface, but so randomly, I happened to look up the Pittsburgh Steelers football schedule the other day, just because I got to prep, right? I got to know where I'm going to be, where am I going to watch these games, and I still have never been to a Steeler game, and all be goddamn, guess
You
what? No, not in person. I've been to Cardinals games because I love the Arizona Cardinals, and they
Yeah.
were much easier and less expensive to see because I didn't have to fly to Pittsburgh, right? I could roll out of my driveway to where the Cardinals used to play, which was at ASU, right? So that was
Mhm.
years ago, obviously. But um on September 24th, the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium, which I can see almost from my house. That's how
So did
close.
you already buy your ticket?
Um, $800. I'm like, I can't justify
They pretty much
$800.
like most shows now. I read this whole article when the whole Taylor Swift thing came out,
Yes.
and it was super interesting because basically whoever wrote it, I don't remember who wrote it, but they were like if you look at sporting events like the new venues that are being built have more and more box seats, and it's their whole thing is that so many corporations buy tickets like they're just catering to corporate because they'll buy the tickets
Mm-hmm.
for clients or like for whoever.
Yeah.
um it's not for, they're not for normal people anymore.
Yeah. They're not. And even if I could afford $800, which maybe I could scrape that together if I stopped eating and I door dashed every day between now and September, I'm not doing it. And I love the Steelers. I'm not doing it. And so, plus, as it turns out, that's also the weekend of the family reunion. And so I wasn't
Oh,
going to be here anyway.
okay, so it's kind of just as well,
I
even
felt
though
I was like, oh look, I could just fight. Now the good news is it's the Sunday night game, so it will be on every television in America. I mean, like you have access to it. And my cousins have this huge big screen TV in their living room. So I have already called them. This is where the reunion is, and I stay with them. I have already called them to say, hey, I just want to know, I'm not making any demands, but I need to plan ahead. So if I can't watch the game at your house, then I'm leaving, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to go find a bar and watch it. And they're like, oh no, we'll watch it here. I'm like, hallelujah. So I'll have
Perfect.
all the Italian food I want and the Pittsburgh Steeler Raider game. What a great game to be able to watch. So I'm excited. But $800, and that's just for one crappy ticket, right?
It's such bullshit. It is such bullshit. Like they're literally making it so that families, like if you have, yeah, like you can't go.
Well, I'm hoping, and this is one of my issues. It's a problem that I have, but I'm hoping that it will come full circle. And, people like me will be like, fuck you. I'm not buying your fucking ticket, even though it's $25 now. Oh, you need the money? Oh, well, I mean, I'm hoping that because corporations are going to go out of business. I mean, we're going to fall apart as a country shortly anyway, if we don't, just maybe buck up a little. And my thing is, let's start doing the right thing. Like and that includes me. I'm including myself in these grandiose statements because I'm not perfect.
Nobody is.
Yeah,
But
and
it
I'm
is. I
learning
mean,
it.
it's really scary that like the position that we're in as a country, and I don't see it getting better. I know so many people are hanging on to hope, and I just don't see it. I think there are so many people that only care about their taxes, not to mention the way the system is set up. The system is set up to cater to the wealthy, cater to the rich, who don't seem to really give a shit about anybody else other than themselves.
So when you
And
say it doesn't get better, what does that look like though?
I think we're definitely turning into like a third world country where the middle
Okay.
class doesn't exist because they just squeeze the middle class to death.
Mm-hmm.
The middle class pays the majority of the taxes. If you're not above a $500,000 mark, essentially, and
Yeah.
even then, if you're between say 500 and probably a couple million, you're still considered middle class, which is crazy. Like upper middle class,
Yeah.
it's really for like the multi millionaires and billionaires, where they're paying nothing in taxes. Most of their money is not in actual cash, it's sitting in dividends or in the stock market or an offshore accounts. And we're going to end up like a Colombia or Brazil or one of these other countries where it's really just wealthy and poor.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle class is just, I mean, the squeeze on the middle class is, and not to mention, I think what's even scarier is when you think about the people who are in charge, they've pit us all against each other, right? Like they've done a really good job in allowing people to blame immigrants or blame others for what they don't have instead of saying, you know what? You don't have because there's so many greedy fucking people out there. It has nothing to do with the other. It has to do with the fact that we again cater to the really wealthy business establishment. I mean, look at even what's happening with this crisis in restaurants, right? Like restaurants are now going, we don't have enough workers, and they're trying to fight to get the administration and the federal government to allow immigrants into the country more easily and to get jobs more easily. Because, but then the other part's like, well, how about you pay more?
Yeah.
Now, the small mom and pop shops, I get, are definitely in a squeeze. But when you look at companies, the holding companies of the Applebee's of the worlds and Olive Gardens and all, Outback Steakhouse, all of these big ones, they're making millions.
Mm-hmm.
Their shareholders are making a ton of money. Their senior leadership is making millions, and you can't pay your line workers more money so that they actually want to stay and work for you, so you don't have to hire immigrants. I'm not saying we shouldn't hire immigrants, don't
I
get me
got
wrong.
it. Yeah. No.
But clearly there is, I mean, even and I'm assuming, I don't know what it's like in Vegas. I'd love to hear it, but like in New York, I never see Americans right because ours are bicycles for Uber Eats and DoorDash, all of those. They're all on bicycles. Like it's very rare you see them show up in cars, and they're all immigrants. You never see Americans doing those jobs. Very rare. I've never seen one, and maybe there was, and I just didn't recognize it. But I just feel like we're taking advantage of them in so many ways, like, pay very little and they have atrocious jobs.
Yeah. Well, I deliver DoorDash, not for a living. It's funny now that I don't have to do it. Like I don't have to have the money. I actually really enjoy it. I tell people I get paid to listen to podcasts.
Oh my God,
Yeah, it's brilliant. Let me tell you, if I do say so myself, the one smart thing I've done in the last 5 or 6 years, and it's all people like me, middle-aged Americans. Now they're not all white, they're not all female, but they're all definitely like the ones that I run into, and you do run into a lot of people doing delivery. Like the other day on Mother's Day, I was at a bistro and there was 3 of us waiting. Me, a white guy, and an African-American or a black girl, all American, all just waiting.
Yeah, so Vegas, I think, is different. And I also think, and this is maybe I'm being unfair or making an assumption in this, I do think it may be different in a city like Vegas where you kind of have to have a car to do it.
Yeah.
And it's already going to eliminate a certain group, right? Like,
because the immigrants
have a bicycle.
Right. The immigrants, unfortunately, they do have the hardest jobs. They're the ones that are cleaning the hotel rooms, right? Yeah. And this is a battle this is that roller coaster that I don't love being on, because the emotional part of it is just crazy for me, because I actually care about my fellow man, which hence my political views, my religious views, they all meld together in this. What do you mean you don't care if that person is starving to death? How could you not care, right? So I want people to be rich. Sure. I'm all for it. I'm excited when people are rich and they make money and they get to buy the things they want to buy and do the things they want to do. I like it more when they're aware that it is also their responsibility to help the person next to them, their fellow man.
Right.
I prefer that more, sure. But that's why, I like capitalism. I just think we've gone awry with the actual definition of capitalism. So,
I feel like capitalism in of itself is not a bad thing, right? There are a lot of benefits to capitalism. I just think that there also needs to be checks and balances, and there needs to be, when you look at other capitalist societies, they still have social programs that help their elderly, that help their poor, that help
absolutely
the mentally ill. And we just don't have that, or infrastructure. We are so behind the 8 ball for being a country of our size and magnitude and wealth that have high bullet trains, that we don't have.
It depends on who's in charge, right?